Slaves, obey your human masters and serve them with a proper sense of respect
and responsibility as service rendered to Christ himself, not with the idea of curry favoring with men, but as the servants of Christ, conscientiously doing what you believe to be the will of God for you. You may be sure that God will reward a man for good work, irrespective of whether the man be slave or free. As for you, employers, be as conscientious and responsible towards those who serve you as you expect them to be towards you, neither misusing the power over others that has been put in your hands, nor forgetting that you are responsible yourselves to a heavenly employer who makes no distinction between master and man.
Strains of that song. And with night having descended on the plantation, and with the occupants of the great house having gone to sleep, and with the lights, all the lights, having been turned out in the great house, the slaves quietly and clandestinely summon each other to a secret meeting in a secret location, each time a different location, so that they would not be discovered. And with lanterns in hand, they sneak off one by one to a hush arbor or a brush arbor, some ravine or quiet place in the woods where they could hide. And the first ones to get there would secure that location. They would build some kind of a rough hut where they could meet. And they would use saplings to make seats. They'd hammer these things together to make benches. And they would put up blankets. They would moisten these blankets and put them up in this rough structure that they had made to muffle the sound and to hide the light from their lanterns. And sometimes they would fill a kettle with water, or they would turn a kettle upside down to catch the sound, they say, so that the sound of their singing and their stomping and their worship would be muffled. And those who came early would use secret codes and signals to mark the way for those who followed behind. They would bend twigs and maybe leave a piece of a rag or something behind to mark the way to the meeting. And so it is they would sneak off to worship, to have secret meetings, because you see, it was illegal for slaves to gather without a white person present. Because, you see, they say, we would have meetings and they would preach to us, but they always preached from Ephesians, where it was said that the slaves, the servants, should honor their master. And they would tell us about heaven, where we would get to enjoy the sweet by and by. But even there we wouldn't be free, because they never wanted us to think about freedom. So we would have our own meetings where we could think about dignity and being children of God and know that we were special. And in those meetings, the black preachers would hone their crafts, and they would sing of the sweet by and by. And on Jordan's stormy banks I stand and cast a wistful eye. And didn't my Lord deliver Daniel and go down Moses, tell old Pharaoh to let my people go? And when someone had had a really rough day, somebody else would be there to comfort them and say, never mind, my dear, you will make it. And somebody else would put their head under that kettle that had been upturned to muffle the sound and catch that sound. And they would scream and scream and scream just to let out the pain, because they couldn't bear it anymore. And so it was that they worshiped God in their own way. And they were able to bear another day. And someone else would be the lookout, because there might be people around looking for runaway slaves, or patrol people out making sure their precincts were safe. So they always had to be on the lookout. And of course, worshipers at these religious meetings were never safe, because these were outlawed meetings, and people caught worshiping like this would be whipped within an inch of their life, be it man, woman, or child, because plantation owners said that anybody bold enough to go to one of these meetings deserved the punishment they got. Mattered not whether they were women or children. So they always had to be on the lookout. And so it was that they cultivated a culture of inner strength and of personhood, and they learned to create that inner strength that gave them power to go on. And as they worshiped, they supported each other, and they learned to grow. And as night went on and they worshiped, the person outside looked for the morning star. That star that indicated that the day was soon approaching. And as day approached and that morning star arose, the lookout person would say, "Yonder come day." And they would know it was once again time to gather up, to close the meeting, and to again disappear into the dark of the wee hours of the morning, and to go stealthily back to the plantation undiscovered, to return to another day of toil, having spent the previous day working hard, toiling relentlessly in the sun, most of them, having spent all night working hard. They would leave those Hush Harbor meetings, turn around, go back to another full day, toiling in the sun once more. What kind of faith, what kind of strength would enable a people to worship all night, pray all night, turn around, go back out to another full day of toil and labor without having gotten any sleep?
in my heart like a stream running